This title is presented to you by Soundlibra.com. For more audiobooks like this, click the link in the description or visit our website at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to The Mindful Parent. I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa. Let's begin our journey.
Before we dive in, a quick note that while we're discussing mental well-being and parenting strategies, this content isn't medical advice. Always consult with a professional for your specific situation. Today, we explore the heart of mindful parenting, presence. What is it, and why does it profoundly matter for our children?
Alex, when you say presence, what exactly are we talking about in parenting? It sounds so simple, yet I imagine it's complex.
That's a perfect observation, Lisa. Presence in parenting is far more than just being in the same room. It's about being fully engaged, mentally and emotionally, with your child in any given moment. It means directing your attention, your intention, and your heart towards them, rather than being caught up in other thoughts or tasks. Imagine playing with your child, but your mind is on work emails or dinner plans. That's not presence. True presence is looking into their eyes, truly seeing them, and being completely with them.
So, it's about setting aside distractions and making a conscious choice to connect. Like really listening when a child tells you something, instead of just nodding while scrolling on your phone.
Precisely. Our modern lives are incredibly demanding. We're constantly multitasking, juggling responsibilities, and often we feel like we're just running on autopilot. Our children, with their keen senses, can often tell when we're not fully there. They can feel our distracted energy. Mindful parenting is the intentional act of choosing to be present. It's about being aware of what's happening within yourself and with your child right now in this shared moment.
And the impact of this focused attention on a child's development must be significant. What benefits does it offer them?
The benefits are foundational. When we consistently offer our full presence, we create a secure environment built on love and acceptance. This feeling of being truly seen and heard cultivates a strong sense of self-worth in our children. They learn that they are valuable, that their feelings and thoughts matter. This, in turn, builds their emotional resilience, their capacity to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs.
It's like giving them a strong emotional anchor. Knowing they are valued helps them feel secure.
Exactly. Now consider the opposite scenario. A child who frequently feels overlooked or unheard may struggle with insecurity, anxiety, or difficulties forming healthy relationships later in life. Think of presence as the essential sunlight and water for a young plant. It allows them to grow and flourish healthily. This deepens the connection between parent and child, forging a bond built on trust and mutual understanding. This connection forms the bedrock of a truly strong and loving family unit.
You also mentioned intention earlier. How does having intention weave into being a present parent?
Intention is the purposeful direction we give our thoughts and actions. In our busy lives, we often parent out of habit or react impulsively. Mindful parenting invites us to pause and consider our intention. What do I want to create or achieve in this moment? Is it to comfort my child, to teach them a new skill, or simply to savor this brief time together? When we lead with intention, our parenting becomes more thoughtful, less reactive, and more aligned with our deepest values for our children and our family. It shifts us from simply managing tasks to consciously co-creating our family's journey.
So, it's about being deliberate, about actively shaping our parenting, rather than just letting it happen. It's about choosing the parent you aspire to be.
That's spot on. And this naturally leads us to another crucial element, self-awareness. To be truly present with our children, we must first be aware of ourselves, our own emotions, our personal triggers, and our ingrained behavioral patterns. We cannot offer complete presence to our children if we are lost in our own internal chaos. Practicing self-awareness is akin to cleaning the windshield of your car. If it's dirty, your view of the road ahead is obscured. When we understand our own inner world, we are far better equipped to respond to our children with calmness, empathy, and wisdom, rather than simply reacting out of stress or frustration.
That's such a clear way to put it, Alex. It's a vital reminder that our own internal state has a direct ripple effect on our children. Mindful parenting, then, is as much about the parent's inner journey as it is about the child.
Absolutely. It's a reciprocal relationship. The more we cultivate self-awareness and presence, the more we benefit, and consequently, the more our children benefit. We become more patient, more understanding, and more effective in our communication. This transforms the experience of parenting from a potential source of stress into one of profound joy and deep connection.
It sounds like this is less of a fixed destination and more of an ongoing, evolving practice. Something we actively need to nurture.
Exactly. And that's precisely the purpose of this series, to help you cultivate that practice. We will explore practical tools and techniques designed to help you integrate more presence into your daily parenting. We'll discuss effective listening, understanding and responding to emotions, compassionate communication, and much more. But it all begins with this fundamental understanding of presence, being fully here, now, with your children, guided by intention and by awareness.
So, to summarize for our listeners, mindful parenting centers on being mentally and emotionally engaged with our children in the present moment. This presence nurtures a child's self-worth and emotional resilience, fostering a strong, loving connection. It is guided by intention, empowering us to parent more deliberately, and requires self-awareness to understand our own inner landscape, allowing us to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively.
Perfectly summarized, Lisa. It's about showing up fully for our children, not just with our bodies, but with our entire being. This journey isn't about achieving perfection. It's about making progress and consciously nurturing these qualities within ourselves and our families.
It feels like a truly vital and rewarding pursuit. Thank you, Alex, for setting such a clear foundation for us.
The pleasure is all mine, Lisa. And for our listeners, remember that every moment with your child presents an opportunity to practice presence. Don't be discouraged if it feels challenging at first. It is a practice like any skill. It strengthens with consistent effort.
That brings us to the end of our first episode. We've laid the groundwork for our exploration into mindful parenting.
Indeed, join us next episode as we delve into understanding yourself as a parent, exploring the roots of awareness that are so essential for this journey.
Next episode, Roots of Awareness, Understanding Yourself as a Parent.
Welcome back. Last time we explored why mindful parenting matters. Now let's understand yourself as a parent.
Absolutely, Alex. This episode, Roots of Awareness, Understanding Yourself as a Parent, is so key. Without understanding our own inner world, our reactions, and our triggers, our parenting can become a roller coaster.
That's exactly right, Lisa. Think of it like gardening. You need to understand the soil and sunlight your plants need. Similarly, to be a mindful parent, we first need to understand our own emotional landscape. This involves getting a handle on our inner world to be present for our children.
And what's in that inner landscape? Often it's our own history, our past experiences, and our beliefs about what parenting should look like. And sometimes it's a whole lot of stress from our day-to-day lives. When we're overwhelmed, it's harder to respond to our children with patience.
Precisely. We often talk about parental triggers. These are moments or situations that instantly send us into a reactive mode. It's like a switch flips, and suddenly we're not the calm, composed parent we aspire to be. Instead, we might feel frustration or anger. Have you ever noticed even a small thing can set you off?
Oh, completely. It's rarely about the drop juice box itself, is it? It's about what it represents in that moment. Maybe it's the final straw after a long day, or perhaps it brings up a memory of feeling overwhelmed as a child. Identifying these personal triggers is crucial. So, Alex, how do we begin to untangle them?
The first step is awareness. We need to start noticing when we feel that surge of strong emotion. Is it when your child is yelling? Is it when they refuse instructions? Is it when you're running late? Keep a mental note of these moments. What was happening right before you felt that intense emotion? What were you thinking? What physical sensations did you notice?
So, it's like becoming a detective of our own reactions. We're looking for clues that tell us what's really going on beneath the surface. Often, when we're triggered, we might feel our heart rate increase, our breathing become shallow, or tension creep into our shoulders. Recognizing these physical cues is a powerful signal that our system is in overdrive.
Exactly. And once we notice these physical signs, we can pause. This is where the mindful part really comes in. Instead of automatically reacting, we create a small space between the trigger and our response. In that tiny pause, we can choose a more constructive path, accessing our wise self rather than our automatic, reactive self.
This concept of the pause is so vital. It's like the difference between slamming on the brakes and gently applying them. So, if a child is having a tantrum, instead of yelling back instantly, the pause allows us to take a breath and think, what is my child experiencing right now? And what is my emotional response to this?
That's a perfect example, Lisa. And speaking of our own emotional response, we need to talk about stress cycles. Parenting is inherently stressful. There are demands, constant needs, and little downtime. When we get caught in a stress cycle, it can feel like we're constantly on edge, exhausted, and unable to cope. This cycle is fueled by our reactions and our inability to self-regulate.
And this is where the idea of self-compassion becomes so important. It's easy to be hard on ourselves when we fall short of our parenting ideals. We might think, I'm a terrible parent because I lost my temper. But self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a friend who is struggling.
Self-compassion is like a balm for our parenting soul. It doesn't mean excusing our behavior, but rather acknowledging that parenting is incredibly challenging and we're doing our best. It means recognizing our own pain and offering ourselves comfort. When we can do this for ourselves, we're more likely to extend that same compassion to our children.
So, to recap this crucial step, Alex, we're talking about self-awareness. We need to understand our personal triggers, those things that push our buttons. We need to notice the physical signals our body sends when we're triggered. And then we need to practice that pause, creating a space for a mindful response instead of an automatic reaction.
And central to all of this is self-compassion, recognizing that we are human, that parenting is tough, and that we deserve kindness, especially from ourselves. When we can foster this inner awareness and practice self-compassion, we're building a much stronger foundation for our mindful parenting journey.
It really feels like laying the groundwork for everything else we'll discuss. If we don't understand our own inner world, how can we effectively guide our children through theirs?
Exactly. And this self-understanding isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing practice. We'll continue to learn and grow as parents. And as we do, our self-awareness will deepen. We'll discover new triggers, new patterns, and new ways to respond with greater presence and intention.
So, for our listeners this week, the homework is to start observing yourselves. Be curious about your reactions. What makes you feel overwhelmed? What phrases or situations tend to push your buttons? And importantly, how can you offer yourself a little more kindness when things get tough?
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Remember, this is about progress, not perfection. By understanding your own roots of awareness, you're empowering yourself to be the parent you want to be.
And setting yourself up for more connection and less overwhelm.
Indeed. Next episode, we'll build on this foundation by exploring the art of listening, truly hearing what our children are saying beyond just the words. Next episode, the art of listening, hearing beyond the words. Welcome back to The Mindful Parent. Last time, we explored the foundations of awareness and how understanding ourselves as parents is the first step toward being more present with our children. Now, we're diving into a skill that's absolutely crucial for connection, the art of truly listening.
That's right, Alex. We all think we listen, don't we? But when it comes to our kids, especially when they're upset or trying to convey something important, are we really hearing them? Or are we just waiting for our turn to speak? Or perhaps even hearing what we expect them to say? This episode is all about tuning in beyond the words themselves.
Exactly. So, let's start with the basics. What does it mean to truly listen to a child? It's about more than just the sounds coming out of their mouth. It's about paying attention with your whole being, your ears, your eyes, your heart. Imagine your child is a radio signal, and we're often only picking up the loudest station. Mindful listening is about fine-tuning that dial to hear all the nuances.
I love that analogy. So, it's not just about passive listening, but active engagement. What are some key elements of active listening that parents can practice?
The first, and perhaps most vital, is presence. When your child is talking to you, put down the phone, turn off the TV, and make eye contact. This simple act signals that they have your undivided attention. It tells them, you are important to me right now. This physical presence is the foundation for all other listening skills.
That makes so much sense. It's that feeling as a parent when your child finally has your attention and you can see them light up. It makes them more willing to share. What else?
Next, we need to focus on understanding, not just responding. This means holding back judgment. Children are still learning to articulate their feelings and experiences. They might be messy, contradictory, or even seem illogical to us as adults. Our job isn't to fix it immediately or tell them they're wrong. It's to try and understand their perspective.
So, instead of saying, "Oh, that's not a big deal," we might say, "I hear that you're feeling really upset about this." Is that the kind of validation you mean?
Precisely. Validation is huge. It means acknowledging their feelings without necessarily agreeing with the behavior that might have caused them. You can say, it sounds like you're really disappointed, or I can see you're angry. This doesn't mean you condone tantrums, but it validates the emotion behind it. Children need to know their feelings are real and acceptable, even if the actions aren't.
That's a really important distinction. It's like, I get why you feel that way, even if you'd handle the situation differently. What about when they're not using clear words or they're acting out?
This is where we listen beyond the words. Children, especially younger ones, communicate a lot through their behavior and their nonverbal cues. If your child is suddenly clingier, more irritable, or having trouble sleeping, even if they say nothing's wrong, you need to listen to that behavior. It's a signal.
So, we have to become detectives of sorts, looking for those subtle clues. What are some common nonverbal cues parents might be missing?
It could be anything from furrowed brow, a slumped posture, avoiding eye contact, or even a sudden burst of energy or withdrawal. Picture a toddler who is usually boisterous, suddenly becoming quiet and withdrawn. That silence itself is a communication. Or a child who usually loves school, suddenly complaining about stomach aches every morning. Those are signals, even if the child isn't speaking about their distress directly.
That makes so much sense. My youngest, when he's overwhelmed, he starts humming louder than usual. I used to just tell him to be quiet, but now I realize it's his way of self-soothing and trying to get my attention to say, "Mom, I need some help here."
That's a perfect example, Lisa. You've attuned to his signal. When you notice these things, you can respond with an open-ended question like, I've noticed you seem a bit quiet today. Is everything all right? Or, you're humming a lot. Are you feeling a bit overwhelmed? This invites them to share without pressure.
And then when they do share, how do we ensure we're really receiving it? What are the pitfalls to avoid?
One big pitfall is jumping in with solutions too quickly. Often, a child just wants to be heard. They want to feel understood. Unless it's an immediate safety issue, resist the urge to fix it for them. Instead, reflect back what you're hearing. You can say, so if I understand correctly, you're feeling frustrated because your friend took your toy and didn't give it back.
That reflection technique, the saying back what you heard, sounds really powerful. It confirms that you've been actively listening and processing what they're communicating.
It does. It also gives them an opportunity to clarify if you've misunderstood. No, Mom, it wasn't that he took it. It was that he broke it. This process of clarification is where true understanding happens. Another pitfall is interrupting. It's so easy to interrupt, especially when we have a great idea or want to share a similar experience. But interrupting signals that our response is more important than their story.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes. It comes from a good place, wanting to connect or offer support, but it can shut down the conversation.
It can. So, practice patience. Let them finish their thoughts, even if there are pauses. Those pauses might be where they're gathering their courage or finding the right word. We talked about presence earlier, and that includes creating a safe space for them to speak without fear of being judged, lectured, or rushed.
So, to recap what we've discussed so far about truly listening, it's about being fully present, focusing on understanding rather than just responding, validating their feelings, and paying attention to nonverbal cues and behaviors. We also need to avoid jumping in with solutions too quickly and resist the urge to interrupt.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about making a conscious effort. The more you practice these active listening skills, the more your child will feel seen, heard, and understood. This builds a foundation of trust and strengthens your connection immeasurably. Imagine your child feeling so comfortable with you that they can share their biggest joys and their deepest worries. That's the outcome of truly listening.
And that trust, that open dialogue, is so vital as they grow. It allows us to guide them more effectively and helps them develop their own communication skills. So, it's not just a parenting skill, it's a life skill we're teaching them.
Absolutely. And it's a practice. Some days will be easier than others. Some conversations will flow beautifully, and others might feel like pulling teeth. But the consistent intention to listen, to be present, and to understand, that's what makes the difference. It's about building those bridges of connection, one conversation at a time.
So, for our listeners out there, I encourage you to try one of these techniques today. Maybe just focus on putting your phone away during your child's mealtime, or try reflecting back what you hear them saying. See what a difference it makes.
That's a great challenge, Lisa. And remember, this skill doesn't just apply to our children. The principles of mindful listening can enhance all our relationships. We've covered a lot today about hearing beyond the words and creating that space for genuine connection.
It really is an art, and like any art, it takes practice. We've learned about the importance of presence, validation, listening to nonverbals, and avoiding common pitfalls like interrupting and rushing to solutions.
So, next episode, Navigating the Storm, Mindful Responses to Big Emotions.
I'm already looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we explored the art of truly listening. Now, let's tackle navigating big emotions.
Oh, Alex, this is such a crucial conversation. I think every parent has been there, right? Facing a child's meltdown or dealing with our own overwhelming frustration and just feeling completely out of our depth. It's like all the tools we thought we had just fly out the window.
Exactly, Lisa. And that's precisely why understanding mindful responses is so important. It's not about stopping emotions from happening. That's impossible and, frankly, not healthy. It's about how we engage with them. Remember how we talked about self-awareness in episode 2? That's our foundation here. Before we can help our children with their big feelings, we need to understand our own triggers and reactions. Are we someone who tend to shut down when things get intense? Or do we lash out?
That's a great point. Recognizing our own patterns is the first step. Because if we're overwhelmed, chances are we're not going to be very mindful when our child is also in the middle of an emotional storm. We might just react instinctively, and that reaction is often not what we'd like it to be.
Precisely. So, let's talk about what happens when those big emotions hit. For our children, this often looks like tantrums, meltdowns, tears, shouting, or even physical expressions like hitting or kicking. For us, it might be, as you said, shouting back, withdrawing, feeling helpless, or becoming extremely anxious. The key word here is intense. These are feelings that can feel all-consuming.
Right. And often, when we see these intense emotions in our children, our first instinct is to stop them. We want the crying to cease, the anger to vanish. We might try to bribe them, distract them, or even punish them, all with the goal of making the emotion go away as quickly as possible.
And that's where mindfulness comes in. Instead of trying to push the emotion away, mindful parenting encourages us to acknowledge it, to see it not as a problem to be solved immediately, but as an experience to be navigated. Think of it like this. If your child scraped their knee, you wouldn't just ignore it and hope it heals. You'd tend to the wound, offer comfort, and help them through the pain. Emotions are often the same. They need to be acknowledged and processed.
So instead of saying, "Stop crying, you're being dramatic," we might say, "I see you're really upset right now. It's okay to feel that way." Is that the idea? Creating a safe space for the emotion?
Exactly. You're creating a safe harbor for that emotion. And this is where the mindful response comes into play. It's about pausing, taking a breath, a literal physical breath before reacting. This pause is critical. It's the space between stimulus and response. In that space, we can choose how to act rather than just automatically reacting. This pause helps us access our prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of our brain, instead of being driven by the more primitive, reactive parts.
A pause. That little space can make such a huge difference, can't it? It's like giving ourselves a moment to remember what we value as parents, rather than just getting caught up in the immediate chaos. And when we take that pause, we can then focus on de-escalation.
Absolutely. De-escalation is about bringing the intensity down. This often starts with your own state. If you are calm, centered, and present, you can often help your child regulate their own emotions. This might involve speaking in a calm, lower tone of voice, using fewer words, and focusing on simple, reassuring statements. Sometimes, just sitting quietly with a child who is overwhelmed can be incredibly powerful. It signals, "I'm here with you. You are not alone, and we will get through this."
I can already picture that. A child is in the throes of a tantrum, and instead of panicking or yelling, the parent takes a deep breath, sits down nearby, maybe on the floor, and just offers a gentle, "I'm here." That presence itself can be so grounding.
It is. And we need to remember that children are still learning how to manage their emotions. Their brains are not fully developed, especially the parts responsible for emotional regulation. So, when they have a meltdown, they are essentially losing control. Our job isn't to demand they regain control instantly, but to help them build that ability. This is what we call co-regulation. We co-regulate with them.
Co-regulation, I like that. It's like we're lending them our own sense of calm until they can find it within themselves. So, for a younger child having a tantrum, it's about physical comfort, a calm voice, and reassurance. What about older children or teens who might express their emotions through anger or withdrawal?
Great question, Lisa. The principles are similar, but the expression might be different. For older kids, it might be about acknowledging their feelings without judgment. Instead of saying, "You shouldn't be angry about that," we could say, "It sounds like you're really angry about what happened. Tell me more about it." This invites dialogue rather than shutting it down. It's offering them the chance to be heard and understood. And this is where active listening from episode 3 really shines. Are we truly hearing what they're saying, or are we just waiting for our turn to speak or tell them they're wrong?
That's a tough one. It's so easy to jump in with solutions or to dismiss their feelings if they seem disproportionate to us. But from their perspective, in that moment, their feelings are very real and very big.
They are. And when we validate their feelings, I can see why you're so frustrated. It doesn't mean we're agreeing with their behavior, but we are acknowledging the emotion driving it. This validation can often diffuse the intensity far more effectively than trying to argue or reason with them when they are in the height of their emotion. Reason often comes after the storm has passed.
So, to recap this section, when big emotions hit, the mindful approach is to pause and breathe. Acknowledge the emotion, both in our child and within ourselves, rather than trying to suppress it. Create a safe space for expression. Practice co-regulation through calm presence and gentle communication. And then, once the intensity has lessened, we can move towards understanding and problem solving.
Perfectly summarized, Lisa. And this practice builds resilience. By going through these emotional storms with our children and by modeling our own emotional regulation, we're teaching them invaluable life skills. They learn that emotions are normal, that they don't last forever, and that they have caring adults who can help them navigate through them. This builds their own capacity for self-regulation over time. It's a process, and it requires patience for ourselves and for our children.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's so empowering to know that we have these tools, these mindful responses, available to us. It's not about being a perfect parent, but about being a present and responsive one.
Exactly. And it's a practice that extends to our own emotional well-being too. When we're mindful of our own emotional triggers and reactions, we are better equipped to handle the challenges of parenting. So, we've covered pausing, acknowledging, co-regulating, and validating. These are powerful strategies for navigating those intense emotional storms. Next episode, we'll explore the magical world of play and how it can be a powerful tool for connection and mindful parenting. Welcome back. Last time, we explored navigating those challenging big emotions. Today, we're diving into the power of play.
Play. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But I think so many of us as parents tend to underestimate its profound impact. We see it as just downtime or something kids do to burn energy.
Exactly. And while it is about joy and energy, it's so much more. Play is a child's natural language, their primary way of understanding the world, exploring their feelings, and building crucial life skills. As mindful parents, our presence during play can transform it from just an activity into a profound connection builder.
So, when we talk about being present during play, what does that actually look like in practice? I imagine it's not about hovering or directing every single move.
Absolutely not. Mindful presence in play is about being with your child, not just near them. It means setting aside distractions, your phone, your to-do list, and truly engaging your senses. It's about observing with curiosity and offering support when needed, but primarily allowing your child the space to lead.
Observing with curiosity. I like that. It's a shift from what should they be doing to what are they discovering right now.
Precisely. Picture this. Your child is building a magnificent tower with blocks. Instead of saying, put that block there, a mindful approach might be to sit nearby. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about speaking with intention.
That's right, Alex. Listening is crucial, but how we choose our words is equally powerful. It's not just what we communicate, but how it lands with our kids. So, how can we be more intentional with our spoken words?
It starts with awareness of our own internal state. Before we open our mouths, it's helpful to check in with ourselves. Are we feeling stressed, rushed, impatient? Our emotions often paint our words, whether we realize it or not. Conscious communication asks us to pause and consider our inner landscape before speaking. Are we speaking from a place of calm intention or from a place of frustration?
That makes sense. So, it's not just about the words, but the energy behind them. Sometimes, even with the right words, if we're feeling agitated, our kids can pick up on that. It's like trying to give a gift with a scowl. It doesn't feel very inviting.
Exactly. And this awareness extends to our language itself. We want to move away from reactive, habitual speech towards mindful language. This means choosing clarity, kindness, and respect in our everyday interactions. Think about instructions, for example. Instead of a command, which can often feel demanding, we can frame things as requests or invitations.
Could you give us an example of that? What's the difference between a command and a mindful request?
Certainly, a common command might be, clean your room now. This is direct, but it can evoke resistance. A mindful approach might be to say, it looks like your room needs a little tidying. Would you be willing to help me make it neat so we can have more play space? See how that shifts the tone? It acknowledges the situation, uses we and help, and offers a reason or benefit.
Oh, I see. It's much softer, more collaborative. It invites cooperation rather than demanding compliance. And it respects the child's agency by asking, would you be willing? Instead of just telling them what to do.
Precisely. We're offering them a choice, respecting their autonomy. This is especially important as children grow. Another aspect of conscious communication is being specific and clear, especially with instructions. Instead of saying, be good, which is incredibly vague, we can be more precise. Please use gentle hands with your sister, or let's remember to use quiet voices inside.
That's a great point. Be good means so many different things to different people, let alone a child. Being specific helps them understand exactly what behavior is expected. And when we're specific, we're also setting them up for success, aren't we?
We absolutely are. We're making the expectation concrete. Now, let's touch on tone of voice and nonverbal cues. These are incredibly powerful, often even more so than the words themselves. A kind, warm tone can soften even a challenging message, while a harsh or sarcastic tone can undermine the most well-intentioned words.
I've definitely noticed that. Sometimes I'll say something gentle, but my voice sounds tired or strained, and my child reacts as if I've yelled. It's a reminder that our whole self is communicating.
It really is. So, when we speak, are we using a tone that conveys respect and connection, or one that conveys annoyance or superiority? Are our facial expressions and body language aligned with our words? If you're asking your child to share a toy with a stern face and crossed arms, it sends a mixed message. We want our communication to be congruent. Our words, tone, and body language all singing the same harmonious tune.
So, to recap what we've discussed so far, conscious communication involves self-awareness of our own emotional state before speaking, choosing mindful language that is clear, kind, and respectful, framing requests collaboratively rather than issuing commands, being specific with instructions, and ensuring our tone of voice and nonverbal cues are aligned and supportive.
That's a wonderful summary, Lisa. And building on this, let's consider the impact of our words. We've talked about instruction, but what about everyday commentary and conversation? Are we offering encouragement and validation?
This is where the tell them what you'll tell them, tell them, tell them what you told them structure comes into play for parents too, right? When we compliment our children, for example, instead of just good job, which can feel a bit generic, we can be more descriptive.
Yes. Instead of good job painting, you could say, I see you've used so many bright colors in your painting. You've really focused on blending the blue and yellow here. That looks like fun. This highlights their effort, their choices, and their process, rather than just the outcome. It's a subtle shift, but it validates their work and encourages them to keep exploring.
That's so much more meaningful. It shows we're not just glancing, but truly observing and appreciating their efforts. It helps them develop a sense of pride and encourages them to engage more deeply with their activities, not just for the praise, but for the joy of the doing.
Exactly. And mindful communication also involves acknowledging our mistakes. If we've spoken out of turn or been impatient, it's incredibly powerful to apologize. I'm sorry I raised my voice. I was feeling frustrated, but it wasn't fair to speak to you that way. Can you forgive me? This models humility, accountability, and demonstrates that making mistakes is human and that repair is possible.
Oh, that's a big one. It shows children that adults aren't perfect and that it's okay to apologize and try again. It teaches them the importance of taking responsibility for their words and actions. For a child who has been on the receiving end of a parent's outburst, an apology can be incredibly validating.
It can be a profound moment of connection and healing. So, we've covered being aware of our own state, choosing intentional language, giving clear and specific instructions, aligning our tone and body language, offering descriptive praise, and importantly, apologizing when we fall short. Remember when we discussed nonverbal listening? Well, nonverbal speaking is just as vital. Our facial expressions, our posture, even our proximity to our child when we speak, all contribute to how our message is received.
It's like we're creating a complete communication tapestry where every thread, words, tone, body language, intention works together to weave a picture of connection and understanding.
That's a beautiful metaphor, Lisa. And it's practice. Conscious communication isn't about perfection. It's about the intention and the continuous effort to connect with our children in a way that fosters trust and mutual respect. It's about making every word count, aligning it with our love and our desire for a strong relationship.
So, for our listeners today, I'd encourage you to pick one aspect of conscious communication to focus on this week. Maybe it's pausing before you speak, or trying to be more descriptive with your praise, or perhaps practicing a gentle request instead of a command. Small, consistent steps can lead to big changes in how we connect with our children.
Absolutely. And remember, this mindful speaking is also a gift to ourselves. It helps us move through our day with more grace, less reactivity, and a deeper sense of presence. It's a tool for genuine connection, both with our children and with ourselves.
Wonderful. So, we've explored how to speak with intention, moving from reactivity to conscious connection. We've looked at mindful language, specific instructions, the power of tone and body language, descriptive praise, and the importance of apologies. It's all about fostering a communication environment built on respect and understanding.
Next episode, gentle guidance, the principles of mindful discipline.
That sounds like a very important topic. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back to The Mindful Parent. Last time, we explored conscious communication. Now, let's tackle gentle guidance and mindful discipline.
Mindful discipline. For many, discipline meant punishment. But with mindful discipline, we're shifting that focus to teaching and guiding. As you said, Alex, it's about helping children learn and grow from difficult moments, maintaining presence and connection, and moving away from punishment towards teaching.
Exactly. It's less about stopping bad behavior and more about understanding it and using it as a teachable moment. Our own mindset is crucial here. Approaching discipline from frustration leads to children feeling judged. Mindful discipline begins with our own calm awareness, allowing us to respond thoughtfully, not reactively.
Like the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. If we're not calm, we can't offer calm guidance. So, a first principle is setting clear, consistent, and age-appropriate boundaries. Boundaries are not about control. They're about safety and structure, like guardrails on a road, as you mentioned.
I like that analogy. We set these boundaries gently and mindfully through calm, loving communication. We state boundaries simply and directly. Instead of shouting, "Stop that," we say the toy is not for throwing. We use our toys gently. Consistency is key for children to learn expectations.
Consistency can be so hard. It's tempting to let things slide. But mindful awareness helps us stay consistent. And when a boundary is crossed, we explore natural and logical consequences.
Precisely. Natural consequences happen on their own. If a child refuses a coat, they feel cold. Logical consequences are imposed by us and are directly related to the misbehavior. If a toy is thrown, the toy is put away for a while.
So, not punishment, but experiencing the direct result of their choice. And we apply these with empathy. I see you're sad the toy is away. It's hard when we can't play with it. This teaches that actions have impact while reassuring them of our love. They learn it's the behavior, not them. That's the issue.
Separating behavior from the child prevents shame, which is vital. Challenging moments become opportunities for learning. They are a chance for children to build skills like emotional regulation, problem solving, and empathy. After a tantrum, when they're calm, we can talk about what happened and what they could do differently.
So, after the storm, the real teaching can happen. We can ask gently, "What could you do next time you feel that angry?" This empowers them and shows we believe in their ability to learn. It's guidance, not control.
That's a wonderful way to put it, Lisa. It sounds like building a partnership in learning. Maintaining our presence is key. We see the whole child, understand their development, and respond from love and connection, not just reacting to behavior. We manage our own triggers.
So, to recap the principles of mindful discipline: first, cultivate our own calm awareness. Second, set clear, consistent boundaries. Third, use natural and logical consequences with empathy. Fourth, embrace challenges as learning opportunities for essential life skills.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's a practice prioritizing connection, understanding, and teaching over punishment. Guiding them with gentleness and consistent love helps them become capable individuals.
It reframes discipline into a positive, growth-oriented process. The rewards are immense. We build strong relationships and teach resilience and compassion.
They truly are. Next episode, we'll discuss technology and presence, finding balance in our digital lives.
That's a crucial topic for families today. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. See you then. Welcome back. Last time, we explored gentle guidance and mindful discipline. Today, we're diving into technology and presence.
Finding balance in a digital world feels like a constant challenge, doesn't it? Screens are everywhere.
Exactly. How do we maintain that sense of being fully with our children when so many digital distractions are vying for our attention? It's about intentionality.
Intentionality. So, for listeners struggling with this, what's the first step?
The first step is awareness. Just notice how you're using technology. Is it a conscious choice or an automatic reflex? Do you find yourself scrolling mindlessly while your child tries to tell you something important?
That scrolling reflex is so real. Even 30 seconds can mean missing a moment of connection.
And those missed moments add up. So, start by observing your own technology use without judgment. Gather the facts. How much time? And when do these tech moments interrupt family time most? Once we have that awareness, we can begin to set boundaries.
Boundaries. What kind of boundaries are we talking about?
We're talking about creating intentional tech-free zones and tech-free times. Imagine making the dinner table a sacred space, completely free from phones or tablets. This creates an opportunity for genuine connection, where you can ask questions and truly listen to each other.
So instead of everyone staring at a screen, we're staring at each other, communicating. I've noticed when devices are out of sight, my kids are more likely to strike up conversations.
Precisely. And it's not just about meals. You can create tech-free zones in bedrooms, especially at night, or designate certain hours as device-free for the whole family. This reinforces that quality family time takes precedence. We're telling our children, you are more important than this device.
That's a powerful message. But what about when technology is helpful? Like educational apps, video calls with grandparents, or for a child's specific interest? It's not all bad, is it?
Absolutely not. Technology can be a wonderful tool for learning, connection, and creativity. The key is moderation and intention. When technology is used purposefully, it enhances life. It's when it becomes a default activity, a way to pass time without real engagement, that it starts to detract from our presence.
So it's about being mindful of why and how we're using it. Can you give us some practical strategies for setting boundaries effectively, especially with children who might protest?
Of course, involve your children in setting the rules. Explain why you're making these changes, that you want to spend more quality time together and listen better. When children feel heard, they are more likely to cooperate. For younger ones, you might use a visual chart showing tech-free times.
A visual chart. That's a great idea for making it concrete. What about older children and teenagers who might push back more?
With older children, it's about open communication and understanding their perspective too. They often use technology to socialize. Instead of outright banning it, find a compromise, perhaps setting screen time limits or agreeing on designated times for device use. Encourage them to engage in offline activities they enjoy, making those more appealing than screen time.
It's about helping them find that balance in their own lives. And remember, we're modeling this behavior, aren't we? If we're constantly on our phones, it's hard to expect our kids to do otherwise.
You've hit the nail on the head. Modeling is crucial. If you want a child to put down their device and engage with you, you need to show them what that looks like. This means being fully present when they are engaging with you. Put your phone away when they're talking, make eye contact, and truly listen.
So, to recap, first, we need awareness of our own tech habits. Then, we establish clear boundaries, tech-free zones, and times. We use technology intentionally, not as a default. And we involve our children by modeling the behavior we want to see.
Beautifully summarized. And it's an ongoing process. Technology evolves, and so will your family's needs. The key is to remain flexible, communicate openly, and always prioritize that precious presence with your children. This intentional use of technology can actually enhance your family connection rather than detract from it.
That's a fantastic way to look at it. Technology as a tool to support connection, not a barrier to it.
Finding that balance is so important. Next episode, The Mindful Home, Cultivating a Nurturing Daily Practice. Welcome back. Last time we explored technology's role in mindful parenting. Now let's focus on creating a nurturing daily practice at home.
That's right, Alex. We've covered listening, communication, and managing emotions. But how do we weave these mindful tools into our everyday lives? How do we make our homes feel more peaceful and connected from morning to night?
Exactly. It's about transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for presence. Think of our homes as living spaces where connection and calm can be intentionally nurtured. It's about building small rituals that anchor us.
Rituals. I like that. It sounds less like a chore and more like something special we create. What are some of the foundational elements of creating this mindful home environment?
The first is intention. It's about consciously deciding what kind of atmosphere we want to foster. Do we want a home characterized by hurried chaos, or one that feels more grounded and loving? Once we set that intention, we can start to build practices around it.
So, it's a mindset shift before anything else. We have to want that nurturing space and believe it's possible.
Precisely. And from that intention, we can look at the rhythm of our day. Our days have a natural flow. Wake up, meals, activities, winding down. Each of these moments can be infused with mindfulness. Let's start with mornings. Mornings can be notoriously hectic, can't they?
Oh, tell me about it. The rush to get ready, the breakfast scramble, it often feels like we're just trying to survive until school or work.
And that's precisely why a mindful morning is so powerful. Instead of just rushing, what if we built in just 5 minutes of quiet connection? It doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be simply sitting together for a few sips of juice or water before the day's demands kick in. It's about signaling to our children and ourselves that they are seen and they are valued right from the start of the day.
So, not necessarily a full meditation session, but a few intentional, present moments, like a small anchor point.
Exactly, a small anchor. And this principle applies to meals too. Meal times are often one of the few times the whole family is together. How can we make those moments more than just fuel stops?
We can try to disconnect from distractions like phones and really focus on the food and the people. Maybe even share something about our day in a structured way if needed.
You're hitting on key points. Turning off screens is crucial. It creates a space for conversation. We can encourage sharing, perhaps with a simple prompt like, "What was one interesting thing you noticed today?" or "What are you grateful for right now?" This isn't about interrogation. It's about genuine curiosity and connection.
I like the idea of prompts. It makes it less pressure and more like a fun game of discovery about each other.
And it fosters a sense of appreciation. When we focus on gratitude, we shift our perspective from what's lacking to what's abundant. So, mindful mornings, presence at meals, these are building blocks. What about the transitions in our day, like going from playtime to homework or from school pickup to dinner?
Those can be really tricky. A sudden shift can sometimes trigger resistance or big emotions.
They absolutely can. This is where we can use transition rituals. A simple song, a deep breath together, or a quick check-in can help smooth these shifts. For instance, before starting homework, we could have a brain rest moment, 5 minutes of quiet drawing, listening to calm music, or even just sitting with eyes closed.
That's so smart. It's like giving our brains a little pause button to reset before the next task. It's preparing them for what's next rather than just demanding it.
Precisely. It's about respecting their processing time and your own. And another crucial part of the mindful home is the wind down routine. This is where we prepare for rest, which is so vital for overall well-being.
Ah, bedtime. The final frontier of the day.
Indeed, a consistent, calm bedtime routine can be transformative. It signals to the body and mind that it's time to shift gears. This could involve a warm bath, reading stories, gentle stretching, or simply quiet cuddle time. The key is predictability and a calm, gentle atmosphere.
So, we're creating a series of gentle cues throughout the day that tell our children and ourselves that we're connected, we're safe, and we're moving through the day with intention. It sounds like a lot, but when you break it down into these small, digestible moments, it feels more achievable.
That's the beauty of it. It's not about grand gestures, but consistent, small acts of presence. And it's important to remember that this isn't about perfection. There will be days when things go awry. The goal is progress, not flawlessness. If we miss a mindful moment, we can simply acknowledge it and start again with the next opportunity.
It's a practice after all. And like any practice, it gets stronger with repetition. We're building habits of connection and peace.
To recap what we've discussed today, we can cultivate a nurturing daily practice by setting our intention for a peaceful home. Then, we weave mindful moments into the natural rhythm of our days. This includes intentional mornings with a brief connection, present meal times free from distractions, smooth transitions using short rituals, and a consistent, calm bedtime routine. These practices create anchors of connection and peace throughout our family's day.
It's like creating a gentle, supportive framework for our family life that allows everyone to feel more seen, heard, and secure. The mindful home isn't just a place, it's a feeling.
Beautifully put, Lisa. And this focus on creating a nurturing environment naturally leads us to think about how we can empower our children and ourselves with the tools for emotional well-being. That's what we'll be exploring in our next episode, Self-Regulation Superpowers.
Next episode, Self Regulation Superpowers, Empowering Your Child and Yourself.
Welcome back. Last time we discussed cultivating a nurturing daily practice. Now let's tackle self-regulation superpowers.
Self regulation. That sounds like a big one, Alex. And I love the idea of superpowers. What exactly does self regulation mean for kids?
At its core, self-regulation is the ability to manage emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in healthy ways. It's about being able to calm yourself down when upset, stay focused when needed, and make good choices, even when it's tough. It's a fundamental building block for success in school, relationships, and life.
So, it's not just about stopping tantrums, though that's a big part of it for many parents. It's broader than that.
Exactly. It's about developing that inner control. Remember when we talked about navigating big emotions like anger or frustration? Self-regulation is the skill that helps children learn to handle those feelings without becoming overwhelmed. It's the ability to pause before reacting, to think about what they're feeling, and to choose a response.
Okay, that makes sense. So, how can we as parents actively help our children build these self regulation superpowers?
That's a common misconception, but nope. It's definitely a skill that can be taught and nurtured. And the good news is a lot of what we've discussed in previous episodes directly supports this. For instance, our ability to model self-regulation ourselves is perhaps the most powerful teaching tool we have.
Ah, the modeling piece. So, if I'm good at handling my own stress and frustration, my child is more likely to learn how to do that too?
Precisely. Children learn by watching us. When they see us taking deep breaths when we're feeling overwhelmed, or when we talk through our feelings calmly, they're absorbing those strategies. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. You show them how, you offer support, and you let them try. With practice and encouragement, they get better.
That's a helpful analogy. So, first step for parents, be mindful of our own self regulation. What else?
Next, it's about creating a safe and predictable environment. When children feel secure, they have a stronger foundation to practice these skills. This ties back to creating a mindful home. Having consistent routines, clear expectations, and knowing they can come to us when they're struggling all contribute to a sense of safety that allows for emotional growth.
So, predictability and safety are key. What about when those big emotions do hit? We've talked about validating feelings, but how does that transition into self regulation?
That's where the direct teaching comes in. We can help children develop a self-regulation toolkit. This toolkit can include things like deep breathing exercises, taking a short break in a quiet space, drawing their feelings, or even using physical movement to release energy. The key is to introduce these tools when children are calm, so they're familiar with them when they're feeling intense emotions.
Introduce them when calm. That's a crucial distinction. So, not in the heat of the moment, but as practice?
Exactly. You can practice deep breathing together as a family during a quiet moment. You can point out a calm down corner in your home and explain its purpose. You can even practice counting to 10 or taking a sip of water as simple strategies. For younger children, these tools might be very concrete. For older children, you can discuss more complex strategies like journaling or mindfulness exercises.
I can see how making it fun and accessible would be important. Are there specific age appropriate strategies? It feels very different for a toddler versus a teenager.
Absolutely. For toddlers and preschoolers, self-regulation often looks like learning to wait for their turn, sharing toys, and learning to express their needs with words rather than just crying or hitting. We can help them by offering choices, using simple language to describe emotions. You seem frustrated because your tower fell down, and by providing lots of opportunities for pretend play, which is a fantastic way for them to practice social scenarios and emotional responses.
So, for the little ones, it's about building the very foundations. What about when they get a bit older, say, elementary school age?
For school-age children, self-regulation becomes more about managing academic demands, peer relationships, and longer periods of focus. We can help by teaching them strategies for breaking down tasks, time management skills, even simple ones like setting a timer for homework, and by encouraging problem solving. When they face a conflict with a friend, instead of jumping in to fix it, we can ask questions like, "What do you think you could do?" Or "How did that make you feel?" And what's a way you could express that?
That empowers them to find their own solutions. And for teenagers, this is where it can get really challenging with all the hormonal and social pressures.
Teenagers are definitely navigating a complex landscape. Self-regulation for them involves managing impulsivity, understanding long-term consequences, and coping with intense social and emotional experiences. We can continue to model healthy coping mechanisms, encourage them to engage in activities that help them de-stress, like sports or creative pursuits, and importantly, keep the lines of communication open. Sometimes just listening without judgment is the greatest support. We also need to respect their growing independence while still offering guidance.
It sounds like a continuous process of support and gradual release of responsibility. And you mentioned earlier that this is about empowering ourselves too. How does focusing on our child's self regulation benefit us as parents?
Well, when children have better self-regulation, there are often fewer power struggles and meltdowns. This means a calmer home environment for everyone. Knowing we are equipping our children with essential life skills also brings a sense of confidence and peace. It shifts our role from being the constant fixer to being a guide and mentor. Plus, remembering to use those self-regulation techniques ourselves when dealing with our children's challenges is a huge benefit to our own well-being.
That's a really important point. It's not just about the child, it's about creating a more harmonious family dynamic where everyone benefits from these skills. So, to recap for our listeners, self regulation is the ability to manage emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, and it's a skill that can be learned. Our role as parents is to model it, create a safe environment, and actively teach our children tools like deep breathing, taking breaks, and problem solving. We introduce these tools when children are calm, and we can adapt our approach for different age groups from toddlers to teens. And by doing this, we're not only empowering our children, but we're also fostering a more peaceful and connected family life for ourselves.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's about giving our children the internal tools they need to navigate the world with confidence and resilience.
And that's a superpower worth cultivating.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we empowered our children with self-regulation. Today, we explore the power of we.
It's so exciting to talk about this, Alex. We've spent a lot of time focusing on individual presence, the parent's presence, the child's presence. But how do we weave that into a strong, unified family fabric? It feels like the ultimate goal.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of our previous conversations about mindful communication and connection through play. This episode is where those threads really come together. It's about moving from individual, mindful moments to a shared, collective sense of being present together. It's about cultivating that feeling of belonging, of truly seeing and being seen by each other as a family unit.
And how do we begin to build that we in our busy lives? It can feel like there are so many competing demands.
That's a great question. It starts with intention and often with small, consistent efforts. One of the most powerful ways to build this shared presence is through family rituals. These aren't rigid, complicated events, but rather simple, repeatable actions that create a sense of rhythm and connection.
Rituals. I like that. Can you give us some examples?
Of course, think about a family dinner where everyone puts their devices away and actually talks about their day. Or a Saturday morning pancake breakfast where the focus is on being together, not just on the food. It could even be a bedtime routine, like reading a story together or a quick check-in before sleep. The key is that these are shared experiences where the entire family participates and intentionally sets aside distractions.
So, it's not about the grand gestures, but about the consistent, small moments of shared attention. It sounds like remembering what we discussed about mindful communication, speaking with intention, and listening with presence.
Precisely. And these rituals create a sense of predictability and security for children. They know what to expect, and they know they are part of something larger than themselves. This shared rhythm provides an anchor in their lives. Beyond structured rituals, even unstructured moments can be powerful. When we can be fully present during everyday activities, we strengthen that family bond.
Unstructured moments? What do you mean by that?
Imagine you're folding laundry and your child comes to help, even if they're not doing a perfect job. Instead of just handing them tasks, you engage with them. You talk about the clothes, you make a game of it, you share a laugh. Or when you're in the car, instead of everyone being on their phones, you play a car game or have a conversation. These are opportunities to be present together, even when you're doing mundane things. It's about finding the connection within the activity.
That makes so much sense. It's about shifting our mindset to see everyday moments as opportunities for connection, rather than just tasks to get through. It also ties back to the power of play we discussed earlier, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Play is inherently connective. When families play together, whether it's a board game, building a fort, or going for a hike, they're creating shared memories and shared experiences. This shared fun fosters a sense of joy and togetherness. It reminds us that we're a team and we enjoy being with each other. Remember when we talked about how play helps children express themselves? When we play with them, we're giving them a safe and joyful space to do that, and we're also learning more about them.
And that learning about each other is crucial for building that deeper understanding and mutual respect. When we truly see each other, even in our playful moments, it strengthens the whole family.
That's right. And this collective presence extends to how we navigate challenges as a family. When we've cultivated a strong sense of we, our children feel more secure facing difficulties. They know they have a supportive unit behind them. This doesn't mean problems disappear, but how the family responds to them changes.
So, when a child is having a difficult emotion, for example, a parent who has practiced self-regulation and is feeling present can then offer that presence to the child, and the child feels that safety within the family unit.
Exactly. It's a ripple effect. A parent's presence stabilizes them, and then they can offer that stability to their child. And when a family has a shared understanding and practice of presence, approaching conflict or disagreement can also be more mindful. It's about approaching challenges as a team.
How does that look in practice? Approaching conflict as a team?
It means fostering an environment where everyone feels heard and understood. Instead of individual sides to a conflict, it becomes a shared problem to solve together. For instance, if siblings are arguing over a toy, instead of just decreeing a solution, you might say, okay, this is a tricky situation. How can we, as a family, figure out a way for everyone to feel okay about this toy? This frames it as a collective effort towards resolution.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. It moves away from a power struggle and towards collaborative problem solving. It truly embodies the power of we.
And this collaborative spirit isn't just for conflicts. It's for celebrating successes too. When one family member achieves something, the whole family can share in that joy. This collective celebration reinforces the feeling of belonging and mutual support. It's not just your accomplishment, it's our family celebrating an accomplishment.
It's like we're building a shared emotional bank account where each positive shared experience, whether it's a ritual, a playful moment, or a resolved conflict, adds to our overall connection and resilience.
That's a wonderful analogy, Lisa. And maintaining this shared presence requires ongoing effort. It's not a destination, but a continuous practice. It means being intentional about carving out time for family togetherness, even when life gets hectic. It means prioritizing those shared meals, those family game nights, those moments of simply being present with each other.
So, to recap, building the power of we involves intentional family rituals, finding connection in everyday unstructured moments, engaging in shared play, approaching challenges collaboratively, and celebrating successes together. It's about creating a family culture where presence is not just an individual skill, but a shared experience.
Absolutely. And remember, this collective presence is the bedrock of a strong, resilient, and deeply connected family. By nurturing this we're creating a nurturing environment where everyone feels a powerful sense of belonging and support.
It's such a vital aspect of mindful parenting, bringing all the skills we've discussed together into a cohesive family unit.
It truly is. And next time, we'll be looking at how to sustain this entire journey. We'll be discussing the enduring practice of mindful parenting and how to keep these principles alive for the long haul.
I'm already looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for listening. Next episode, the enduring practice, sustaining mindful parenting for life. Welcome back to The Mindful Parent. Today, sustaining this practice for life.
And what a journey it's been, Alex. We've covered so much ground. It really feels like we've built a strong foundation for mindful parenting.
Absolutely, Lisa. And now, as we reach the end of our series, the most important question is, how do we keep this going? Mindful parenting isn't a destination. It's a continuous unfolding, a way of being. It's about remembering to be present, even when life gets challenging.
That's such a key point. It's easy to get inspired and implement these practices for a few weeks, but what happens when the novelty wears off, or when we face a particularly difficult day? How do we move from a temporary effort to an enduring practice?
I think the first step is acknowledging that perfection is not the goal. Mindful parenting, like any skill, evolves with practice. There will be days when we're fully present and connected, and days when we feel like we're just going through the motions. The critical part is the intention to return a presence. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't just plant seeds and walk away. You water, weed, and nurture. Some days the garden flourishes, other days it struggles, but you keep showing up.
That's a wonderful analogy. So, it's about consistency, not necessarily constant success. When we slip up, when we react instead of responding, what's the mindful approach to that moment?
Self-compassion, first and foremost. We talked about this in earlier episodes, understanding our own emotions and triggers. When we find ourselves falling back into old patterns, we can pause, acknowledge it without judgment, and gently redirect ourselves. It's like a gentle correction, not a harsh critique. Remember when we discussed empowering our children with self-regulation superpowers? This is where that training really pays off, not just for our children, but for us as parents.
So, if I snap at my child because I'm stressed, the mindful response isn't to dwell on being a bad parent, but to take a breath, recognize my own stress, apologize if necessary, and recommit to being present.
Precisely. And it's about weaving these practices into the fabric of our daily lives. We discussed creating a nurturing daily practice in episode 9, creating routines and environments that support presence. This might be a few moments of mindful breathing before starting the day, a shared mindful meal, or a simple device-free family game night. These aren't grand gestures. They're small, consistent anchors that pull us back to what matters.
It sounds like looking for those opportunities to anchor ourselves in the present moment. We've moved from understanding ourselves to communicating consciously, to disciplining gently. All these elements contribute to that enduring practice.
Exactly. And it's about embracing the ongoing learning. Our children are constantly growing and changing, and so are we. What worked when they were toddlers might not work when they're teenagers. Mindful parenting requires us to be adaptable, to be curious, and to be willing to learn alongside our children. This is the essence of building family connection through shared presence and understanding, which we explored.
So, how do we avoid burnout? Because sometimes the sheer effort of being present can feel exhausting.
That's where prioritizing our own well-being comes in. We can't pour from an empty cup. Remember our discussions on self-regulation and self-compassion? This is where it's crucial to implement those strategies for ourselves. Whether it's a few minutes of quiet reflection, engaging in a hobby, or simply getting enough rest, taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It's fundamental to our ability to be present for our families. It's about modeling healthy habits for our children.
It really is about leading by example in the most genuine way. We've talked about integrating mindfulness into daily practice, responding to emotions, conscious communication, gentle guidance, and navigating technology. It all culminates in this ongoing commitment.
And the impact of this enduring practice is profound, not just for our children, but for our entire family system. When we consistently bring presence, patience, and open-heartedness to our parenting, we create a secure, loving environment where our children can truly flourish. They learn to understand themselves, manage their emotions, and build healthy relationships. And in turn, we experience a deeper, more fulfilling connection with them.
It's about creating a legacy of connection and emotional resilience. Thinking back to the first episode, we set the stage for why mindful parenting matters. We explored our own roots of awareness, learned to truly listen, and navigated those big emotional storms.
We then discovered the power of play and conscious communication, moving into gentle guidance and finding balance with technology, all building towards empowering our children and ourselves and strengthening our family bonds. It's a holistic approach.
And now we're at this point, realizing that the principles we've learned are not a finite set of tools, but a way of life. It's about continuing to show up with intention and with grace, even when it's hard.
So, as we wrap up this series, I want to encourage each of you to embrace this ongoing journey. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. But remember the intention, the core principles, and the incredible rewards of being a present, mindful parent. It's about the continuous practice, the daily commitment to love, understanding, and connection.
This has been such a valuable series, Alex. It's given me so many practical tools and a renewed perspective. I feel more equipped to navigate the complexities of parenting with a greater sense of calm and connection.
That's wonderful to hear, Lisa. And that's exactly the hope, that these episodes have provided you with inspiration and practical guidance to weave mindfulness into your family's life, creating a lasting positive impact. It's truly an enduring practice.
Thank you for guiding us through this, Alex. It's been an incredible learning experience.
Thank you for being such a wonderful co-host and for bringing your own unique insights, Lisa. And thank you to all our listeners who have joined us on this journey. We've reached the end of the Mindful Parents series. Thanks for listening to the series.